Brian is on assignment in an undisclosed location. So David has agreed to help out the old man and help us through the things I need supported with. So thank you very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. So we are we're still at Music Basics. We're going to take it to a different, even a higher level today and start having some fun with some tunes and some notes and some sounds and make a joyful noise where we can. And so to start us out, let's just kind of summarize a little bit. It gives us a good starting point. So the style of music in churches today, predominantly in the Western world, is called Western music, and it comes from Europe. It's basically, like we talked about last week, it's the language of modern music. You know, someone tried to figure out how to put musical activity, sounds, tempo, duration, words, all that down into some kind of format that we can understand in this language. And it really has a kind of a mathematical basis to it. So that's the style of music that almost everything we're doing is based on. It came into form in the early 1500s. So this is very different than the kind of songs and the kind of singing, the kind of sounds we would have made back in the first century. Maybe before the class is over, we would be able to listen to some of that and kind of hear what that was like and see and hear how it was different than what we do today. But we try, as we talked about on the first week, and we're trying to be as much like the first century church as we can in this modern world that we live in. So the music we listen to, the sounds that we're kind of accustomed to hearing are based on a different formula, a different language format than what they had back then. I'm not talking about the spoken language, I'm talking about the musical language. So this Western music that we use today is based on this concept called the diatonic scale, which are the 12 notes that we all hear, and you've probably all heard do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, right? You've probably heard that a million times. That's inside the diatonic scale. So it's what our ears are kind of used to hearing, and all the music that we hear and we sing and we hum every day. So this is what we're using as a basis, and our songbooks are all built on that. They're all built on that diatonic system, and so it's the hymns that have been written for us to sing. So this is the kind of the world that we live in musically. Music in the first century was probably pentatonic. It had 5-note scale. And I'd ask you to, David and I were sitting last night listening to some of this online. It's kind of interesting. Encourage you to just go and Google pentatonic scales and listen to it and just see how different it sounds. It's very interesting about how that was different. We talked about that was monophonic, so it was probably a single line, like a chant, where everybody's singing the same thing. Like we might sing "Jesus Love Me" or "Happy Birthday." We sing it. You might have a birthday to celebrate today.
I think we do.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So when you sing "Happy Birthday," most people sing the same thing, right? That's monophonic, right? So everybody's singing the same. Everybody's making the same sound. The hymns we sing are polyphonic. There are multiple sounds. We're making multiple. We've got different parts, different tones we're each making. So we live in kind of a polyphonic world a little bit, but we do some things that are monophonic. But music in the first century was probably monophonic. In fact, go and Google like Gregorian chant, or look at Gregorian chant music and look at how it was written differently. It's very different looking than what we had. Hymns in the Western music are mostly based on meter, so there's a rhythmic time signature. We talked about that. And meter is expressed in terms of beats per minute and identifying what is a beat. So you'll see the first page of our handout is really all about that. It's all about the length, the rhythm, the sound, the resting or making a sound, loudness versus softness. And so we're going to start today looking at the clef, looking at the music, the notes that the language is telling us to make. So, and we talk about loudness and dynamics is expressed in degrees of piano and forte. So we're going to look at that. Where did that come from? This is very, very fascinating, I think, to understand. So to start us out, we're looking at the musical staff. You'll notice when we have music on the screen, it almost always is in 2 clefs. You've got a treble clef, or also called the G clef. That's kind of an interesting piece of trivia. And then the bottom one is called the bass clef, or the F clef. There's a little bit of an ambiguity in history about how these clefs got their names. Because remember, you were moving from this format where everything was monophonic vocal based. And so all you really need to do is tell the person what note to sing and how long to sing it for. So it's just a bunch of series of dots and dashes moving along a very rudimentary looking clef. And so what happened in the 1500s? Thinking about to the history that we've been talking about. What happened around the 14 or 1500s?
They started making more musical instruments.
Instruments, yes. Mechanical instruments able to make polyphonic sound. A monophonic sound, yeah. Right? Monophonic. What's polyphonic sound like? If you can make something that makes a polyphonic sound, okay, whoa, now I can't use this format anymore. I've got to change the format. And one of the earliest instruments to really do this in a very dynamic way was a harpsichord. So a harpsichord, you were able to basically play 10 sounds if you wanted to, however many fingers you have. So you could make, the polyphony was 10 notes. I could technically make 10 sounds. So when you did that, all of a sudden now I needed to adjust the language to meet the tone of the instrument that's making the sound. So here's the challenge we have as the Church of Christ, or as an a cappella body. Here's the challenge we have. The Western music that we use is primarily based on instrumentation. The clef, this is all primarily came out of an instrumental background, right? Orchestra, harpsichord, the piano, anything that made a polyphonic sound is why you had to have this thing called a grand staff, because you can make two sounds simultaneously, right? Now, when it was used and evolved and used for vocal, so if you belong to a choir, you'll see you probably use the same staff. But you didn't need this necessarily in a choir. A choir has adopted it. And so it's a challenge for us, right, to think about, okay, I'm in this thing that's kind of mechanical. We're going to see that as we start looking at sharps and flats. And you'll see this in a minute. I can't represent a sharp or flat in a space or a line. I've got to make a separate notation. Well, what is a sharp or a flat? What is that? So we're going to look at that today. So these clefs align to the different tonal ranges of whatever it is that's making the sound. So you've all seen this before in the hymn books, right? The ladies have higher voices, so we put them up here in the treble clef. Like if you have a stereo, you've got a treble knob and a bass knob, right? Here's your treble knob, here's your bass knob, right? So the higher tones, the ones the ladies generally make, are up here in the treble clef. The tones that the men generally make, the lower tones, are down here in the bass clef. It's the bass knob, right? So that's what's happened here. This actually is a very ornate G. You ever wonder where the term G clef came from? If you look at old script, this is actually a fancy G. Now the big question is, how does this ever become an F? It's kind of weird. These two dots do bracket the F line, but that's just a coincidence, actually. What we're finding is this is probably some abbreviated F from the medieval times. So somebody was identifying these clefs with different names and numbers and letters, and we've just called them the treble and bass clef today. So each staff has their own set of notes. Now remember, that the real thing to understand is these staffs are aligned to the tonal range of whatever's making the sound. So if you think about the average female, she's going to make a sound somewhere in this range, generally speaking. Try as we might, David and I don't sing in this range. George doesn't sing in this range. And we're going to see that in a minute. I might pretend to sing that note, but I'm not singing that note. I'm singing this note. Right? So this is actually the tonal range for someone who can replicate that sound. So that's why these start at different levels. Have everybody ever wondered why it starts at E? Why doesn't it start at A? You ever wonder that?
The piano starts.
What's that?
Lowest note on the piano.
Well, yeah, but the lowest note on the piano would be way down here.
Yeah, that's where the A starts.
Yeah, way down, right. It'd be way, way, way down here. A0, I think it's called.
No.
But what this just, we adjust, so, actually I've got a pretty good slide that'll kind of show that range here in a minute. But you're right, George, this thing was built, as I said, to an instrument's range. An 88 key piano primarily. So it's an extremely long range. It's lower than you would ever make a sound and higher than you would ever make a sound. So it's way beyond our ability to reproduce. So what we did was, instead of saying, well, I want a staff that has all 88 keys, all I need is a staff that makes a sound that a lady would make. That's all I need, right? And all I need is a staff that would generally cover the sounds that a man would make. So that's what these are. And so, because of that, ladies generally are about an E down to about a C. That's generally where you're at. You're not going to go much lower than that. It's very low for a lady. That's very low, right? You're probably not going to go that low. Coincidentally, men are not going to go up to, an E or an F on that. There's just no physical way we can make our vocal cords vibrate that fast. We can't do it, right? And I love this is in your handout too. This is on the back sheet of your handout. Some little cheats for how to how to remember what these are. You know what these are, Colton? You probably learned this, right?
Oh, the names?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is so
The spaces are face.
the spaces are face. Yep, I've got it right here. So the spaces are on the top are face. The spaces on the bottom are all cows eat grass. I love, so Dave and Carrie provided us with good burritos don't fall apart. That's a good one. Down here. Or good boys do fine always. That's another stop. Every good boy does fine. It's just a way for us to remember what the lines are. So you remember what the, and with music, there's a tremendous amount of memorization that goes into it. There's a tremendous amount of, I just know what an E looks like after a while, right? So if you're a lady and you're singing a treble clef, don't worry about the bass clef, right? You don't need to know that this is a low A. You're never going to sing that. If it was on your clef, it'd be 5 lines below. Right? You're not going to sing that. All you need to remember about is your clef. And so for men, be thinking about your clef. What are the letters that associate with where you're singing? Thoughts, comments. What are your thoughts about that? Different notes and letters and where they fall in the clef.
Old pianos, middle C always had the capital letter of the company.
Yeah. In fact, my keyboard here has middle C identified on it, so I can see that's
It was the name of the company's name, capitalized, that's middle C.
Yeah.
So you never have to hunt for it.
You're reading my mind. So, do you ever wonder where the term middle C came from? Where the term, never had hunt for it. It was always right there. Actually, I remember we had a piano here, I think probably our first piano we ever had, and my brother was taking lessons, and somebody went and wrote the letters on the key.
Keys,
and of course that just ruins the piano, but it's the letters. But when you're learning, it's very helpful, So on electric keyboards, if somebody might learn on, it's very nice to have those on there. But where did the term middle C came from? Take a look at this, and it kind of tells you that.
It's between the two clefs, the middle of the two clefs.
Yeah, we're used to seeing the clefs like in our book like this, right? Spread apart, words in the middle. In reality, those two clefs are very close together. There's only one imaginary line between the clefs. So that's C. So if you remember, what are the lines on the bottom?
G.
Good burritos don't fall apart, right? So this is A. The space is B. What is that? C, right? This is every good boy does fine, right? Every. What's one below that? D is in the space. The line now is C. So this middle C is middle C because it's right smack in the middle. I think Jim's locked out. It's just leave that crack through it, Colton. It's right in the middle. You can do that crack, Jim. It's okay. Well, that's okay. We'll check that.
It's right there.
Yeah, see, they come right behind you. So middle C is the middle between these two clefs. So that's about the lowest that most ladies go. They might go down to a B, but I don't know if I've seen a hymn where a lady sings below a B. I mean, it's pretty, maybe an alto might go down to A, right? But this is about the extent of your range. Same with men. I mean, I know when I sing tenor, I can go to a D and maybe a high E, and that's about it. I'm straining myself to go to an E. So that middle C is right there, and you've got a high C way above it, and a low C way above it. That's the range that we generally would be singing in. So you can see these two clefs are set perfectly for the sounds that adults make. Thoughts about that? Observations?
There's one video that we were watching, Brian sent, that kind of talked about where your range typically is. And I mean, again, like Drew said, the clefs are already kind of identifying the majority. But one of the things that video said is that is for, like that exercise that video has is for people that are 16 years or older. You don't want to go anything lower than that because the voice changes. And so you just said it's for adult singers. And
yeah, right. Why. Where do you think Aaron's at? If we were able to get Aaron to make an A, replicate the sound, I mean, he'd be way, he'd be way up here. But then as he grows, as you get bigger, your vocal, it's all about, it's a vibe. We talked on the first week about this is God's instrument, right? He made this instrument to make music. if anybody knows what a tuba makes a very low sound because it's got a big tubes, big mouthpiece, right? It's going to make it's going to vibrate a lower oscillation. It's going to make a lower frequency, right? A piccolo, very small, it's going to vibrate very high frequency, right? So a human being's the same way. A young child, a lady, smaller, tighter vocal cords, they can vibrate a higher frequency. You're going to make a higher sound. A man, lower vocal cords, going to vibrate. It's harder for a man to make them vibrate fast enough to go that high. Yes, sir.
The big thing on the tube is because it has a long tube.
Yeah.
The piccolo has a very short tube.
Yeah, right. It can vibrate at a higher hertz, a higher oscillation frequency. So our voices do exactly the same thing.
You know what else is crazy?
Yes.
Men hear lower notes, women hear higher notes. We actually can hear a higher scale than you can.
That's interesting. What if that's for you all to hear the little babies cry?
Maybe. You know, you're laughing, but it could.
I mean, I don't know.
possibly
You know, that's right. Could be
Yeah.
something to that. Yeah. I know my wife can hear the kids when we were having the little kids. She could hear them stir. You probably do this. You hear them stir, and I slept all through it. But she heard that. So I think we have a birthday, right? We're gonna.
We do.
We're gonna. So David is going to help us out with this, and so he's going to demonstrate with
Yeah.
"Happy Birthday."
Yeah. We got to get our birthday boy up here. Come on. So,
All right, Brandon's got a birthday.
well, if we're gonna, have a class like this, we're gonna be singing. Come stand over here so we can get you on camera. That's good. So, yeah. So just sing along with me. Sing. Happy birthday. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brendan. Happy birthday to you.
That was really high.
Yeah, that was really high. Why was that really high?
That.
Because of me. Yeah, I pitched it really high. Let's fix it.
It's your fault.
That was my fault. I'm sorry. And you guys followed along with it. I'll fix it here. Ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brendan. Happy birthday to you. That's way too low. So,
Middle C.
right, yeah, I mean, the whole idea. There you go. I'm gonna mess it up. We're gonna do it for real?
Where do you feel good? What do you think is pitched right for us?
I was actually looking at it, and Google said like a G. But I was trying that, I'm like, that still is a little too high for me.
That's right.
I mean,
Happy birthday. That's pretty good.
happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brendan. Happy birthday to you. So, yeah. Now the secret is it's not really his birthday, but but that was an exercise, and Drew's going to explain what we're doing there.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so-
Brendan, for going along.
Which felt better to you?
The third one.
I like the
The
low
second
one.
one.
You like the low one?
Oh,
That was the wrong answer.
Better.
I was trying to mess it up.
So you've got a couple things here. What feels better, what's more in my range might not be what's best. This is that kind of the takeaway. I may have to adjust it. I mean, that's a birthday song. I mean, for a happy birthday, nobody wants to hear a drudgingly slow, low happy birthday. You want that happy birthday, dear Brad. That's kind of what you want, right? You want that excitement. So the way the song is pitched can, just like the meter, can give us a feel. I can ruin the feel of the song by pitching it wrong, by making it where the ladies can't sing it, or it's too low, too slow, right? So the clef that it's adjusted to, the key that it's in, is very, very important. And so, we don't intend to do it here. First of all, great job, outstanding. We don't intend to do it here today or in this class, but it is good to understand that if you look at I want you to look at the back side of the handout here. You'll notice in the 3/4 time signature, there's a strange symbol there between the G and the 3/4. You see that little symbol there? Little hash? Yeah, little hash. Yeah, hashtag. Yeah. Before it was a hashtag, it was called a sharp symbol. And so what that's telling us, we'll only spend about 30 seconds on this and we'll be done with it unless you want to dive into this in a future time. What that's telling us is it's telling us the key that this song is pitched in. It's pitched in that key so that it lines up in this range right for us. If somebody wrote a song that had really high notes in it, I'm going to key it down and pitch it down so it moves it down into that range so we can sing it comfortably. Conversely, if I wrote something that was really low, had lots of low tones, and I go, it's just too low. We were arguing about this on a song we learned recently. I was debating, I think it's too low for the ladies. This thing's too low. Let's pitch it up. Let's move it up. Let's change the key. Right? Let's get it up here a little bit so it's more comfortable. So there's always that debate. So you'll see these different symbols, and it's just telling us what the song is pitched in. And if you're just singing in the congregation, it really doesn't matter to you. It matters to the song leader because they need to know what note to blow to get it to sound right for us. But the writer of the song has done all the work for us. They've put it in the key for us as singers so that we can sing it right. Now, if you're playing something on an instrument, those symbols become very important now because then you know whether I'm pressing the black keys or the white keys, what I'm doing. But for singing, the song leader is going to pitch it for us, and we're gonna have fun with the rest. Yes, sir.
The problem is if you think it's too high for the sopranos and you lower it, then it becomes too low for the bass.
Yeah, so that's the responsibility of the arranger to arrange it correctly so that we haven't pitched it down here. So now that we're singing bass notes here, I was telling David, I sing bass predominantly, and my comfortable max is in low E, is E2. That's about, I can hit that, but I don't want to hang down there very long. Like, I don't know what that is. This is E2. That's not that one. Right. I can give you this for a couple notes, but then I got to get off it. I can't hang out down there. You know what I mean? You can't have me doing this for about a whole verse. I'll switch to tenor because I don't like that. So yeah, if you pitch something down, all of a sudden now it's, whoa, you've got to arrange it now so that you're singing up here in the mid-range better.
And that's what was happening with Happy Birthday is that, if you felt comfortable, Alyssa, like whenever I was singing the low, think about as a bass. Like, you're going to be way down there in the cellar, and you can't, you all of a sudden you're just like, I can't sing this. And then likewise, pitching it on the first time super high, the sopranos, we're going to get to this in a second, but the sopranos can't go there in their octave. So it's just about trying to pitch it to where everybody can sing and use God's instrument.
Yeah, that's a great point. You've got a couple of things going on. You've got a key to get it in the right key, but then the arranger, who's arranging the notes here for us to be able to sing it. And if I keyed it down where all of a sudden it came down way too low, then the arranger is saying, well, instead of having notes down here, I'm going to move these notes up into the staff. So this C2 is the same, it's a C, just like C3 is, but we call that one octave higher. One octave, it's a C2, a C. Try that. Both are C's, but one is, you notice to make the I had to work a little harder. Relaxed. Why do I have to work a little harder? Because I got to vibrate faster. So, trivia point for you. These are your ear hears these as the same note, but a different octave because it's twice the frequency. So an A440, so an A4, this note right here is 440 hertz. That's what the frequency vibration is. That is double. That's 880 hertz. So your ear knows, oh, it's just double. It's double that. So 440, 880. What do you think A3 is? 220. It's half. So 220, 440, 880. What do you think A2 is?
110.
110. We're really vibrating slow now, right? And what is the A1? 55 hertz. Really slow. I mean, this is why we're getting down to the bottom of the piano scale. I'm going to get to the point where I'm zero. There's no sound being made, right? If there's no vibration, there's no sound anymore. So these octaves, you can have fun with octaves. If I'm down here and I can't sing that E, I'm just going to go to this E here because it's still an E. Nobody's going to say, "Oh, Drew, you're singing the wrong note." I'm just singing one octave higher. So you can do that kind of stuff. Makes sense?
This is A440.
That's A440? Well, yeah, hit it. Oh, it's flat. That's A440. Interesting. Yeah. So I think it's kind of fun to think that, Dave and Brian and George and I, we act like we sing the melody, but we're not really singing that. We're singing it one octave lower because we couldn't, and we're going to prove that in a minute. We have a device that's going to prove that. I just want to show one other thing here before you go into that. This is a nice little thing to understand. There is something called an alto clef that resides between these two. Now, if you were in a choir, maybe, I don't know, anybody been in a choir, like a professional choir?
I'm not professional.
You ever seen it? You ever seen anything written in alto clef? For the altos. Violas use this clef.
Yeah, viola.
Viola
I played
use-
viola in high school.
Did
so
you?
that's
Mhm.
what we use. Violas are the only ones who know that stuff.
Yeah, my sister-in-law is a professional violist and a teacher, and yeah, they live on this. So it's just, what it's doing is, it's adjusting the clef to the tone that the instrument makes. So technically, if you sing alto, and you sing a low alto or high tenor, you can sing on this clef, because that's about what your tone is. A tenor.
Most of the time with choirs and stuff, though, they just add it into the
They
treble
just-
clef.
Yeah, the only reason you'd want to do this is if you're going to be in such a range where you've got a lot of lines above or below, which is what happens with a viola. You end up with a lot of lines above and below. It's easier to give your own clef. That way you're not. You ever see notes that have like 3 lines below the clef? I hate reading that. You get below 1 line, I can't remember. Where am I? Is that an A now? What is that? So I just assume I have my own clef. So that's where that comes from. But you can see they're the same notes. C3 is down here. Where C3 is so far off this clef, it's way down. So that's why you might have something like that. Kind of interesting to see. So, any volunteers to see if we can, David, I think you were going to volunteer somebody.
I was, but there's, think about, not a whole lot of ladies in the group, so if you want to.
What's kind of fun? Let's have some fun with this. We're gonna do a human experiment on what Jim just did.
Carrie can do it though.
So hit that A440 again, Jim. That was kind of interesting. We have to be very quiet though. Oh, let's see if I can pick that up. Ooh. You got it. Ooh, it's working. So you see, that A, remember that A4, is it A4 up on the line there?
Yeah.
Where's that? A4 is the real note up here that a lady would sing. This is almost every hymn is going to pass this range right here, right? Now let's see if we can actually make that note. And watch what happens when I try to make that note. Whoops. It's only A3. Why is that?
You're a man.
Because I'm like, sure. I'm a mess. Well, let me try and hit A4. Does anybody want to hear me sing like that? You don't want to hear me sing like that, do you? But that's what it takes for me to hit an A4. Now, how about a lady? A lady want to help us hit? Want to see if we can?
Can
Carrie.
you play it again?
Wow! Yes! Yes! So it's how easy it was for her to hit that. How hard is it to hold that note, though? Like, let's even try something like a... If we had something like this and our tournament tells us we were running flat or not, kind of embarrassing.
So,
But-
real quick, I don't know if
Yeah.
you have time for this, but what if, like, you were singing a C, because Carrie was singing a C along with you,
Mhm.
but you could tell that yours was a C3 and hers was higher. Hers was So I wonder if, like, with this tuner, if, like, the two of you sang a C and then you dropped out and it went from a C3 to a C4.
Here, Carrie, come on.
See, this
come
is
on
really
here.
cool, too.
Carrie Brown, ladies and gentlemen. All right, so...
Anybody else want to try?
No. Nobody else. All right, so we'll do a C. And we'll both, of course, you'll be singing C4 probably, okay? and then we'll see what happens when I drop out.
Okay.
You ready? Yeah. Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you. So you see that these two clefs. The whole point of that is, we are in our range. The clef is laying out the note that's the actual note. So the guys, we kind of cheat. Yeah, I'll sing the melody. They will sing the melody, but we're a whole octave below you, right? So it's kind of interesting to understand where you are in the tonal range. Any thoughts?
We can use one of those to find out where you are personally.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is kind of interesting. I should have put this web address in your thing. It's muted.io/voice-tuner/. And it's kind of fun to practice holding a note.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
There's one you put on your phone. It's called Vocal Pitch Monitor.
Yeah,
There's an app that goes out on your phone. It does the same thing.
Yeah. There's probably so many of these out there. That's a good one.
tuner-pitched.
Yeah.
But like whenever Isaac and I were practicing the last bilingual song we did, I had the tuner out on the podium to just make sure that I'm starting on the right note, like and then. So yeah, you can definitely use that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a nice exercise too to see what's it take. Am I sloppy? And it just a little bit of practice will really make you good at
It really helps
holding
your
pitch.
Helps your
training
ear.
too.
It helps your ear. Yeah, to train your ear that that's
To hear those notes.
because when you're singing in the car, a lot of us are used to singing in the car, in the shower, around the house. You're not really concentrating on holding pitch. Who cares? I'm singing by myself. You go sing with somebody else or singing to. Anybody ever hear anybody singing with headphones on? Like, you know what I mean? Remember those old days? Like, stop. Because they're not trying to hold pitch. So when we're together, we're actually trying to hold pitch. So it's a nice exercise. So yeah, I highly recommend you find one of those and experiment with it a little bit and see how you do. See if it's.
We're at a G with a group, with our church, our congregation. Is that what you said, David?
No.
I didn't understand.
Oh, I thought you said G. That we were at. I don't know.
It depends on what song you're singing, where you
Um,
start.
What I was
and
saying
what
with the
notes
tuner?
you're on.
He's talking about Happy Birthday.
Oh, you
yeah.
really tuned that birthday G.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so it's something I struggle with. The key of G is the perfect key for me. It's the perfect key. I can sing if I'm going to write something, play something, pick it on the piano. I start with G. It's the easiest thing to play and easiest thing for me to sing. But if we pitched every hymn in G, the ladies couldn't sing.
Super.
Yeah, you need to be way down here, or whatever. Stop. So there's hard. So as a result, most of our hymns are in something else. D flat, E flat. They're in something that is pitched more in the mid range there. So very, very, very interesting. So we're going to kind of wrap up with this concept. So remember, we talked about the fact that these clefs came out of a mechanical instrument's ability to do polyphony. That's essentially what it is. So the notes on the staff correlate to the notes on a keyboard. The piano, the harpsichord were the basic instruments that were used to construct this language. Now it translates to a guitar, translates to an oboe, it translates to other things as well. But the piano is the best illustration of what's happening here. So you can see the different notes on the key. We can see this middle C to high C is represented on the keyboard in an octave range of C to C. Now, well, that looks easy, right? I'm just playing these white notes, but what do you think these black ones are?
Sharps and flats.
Sharps and flats. Well, where's the sharp and flat on here? It's not there. So this is why I have to show this. Again, so this is the problem, this is the challenge, the opportunity we have is to understand what's being said here by knowing where it came from, what it means. So I'll just share one thing for you. This is a very important. This will be very important as we go forward. Bless you. Moving two keys, moving two notes. But see, you don't see it here. So that's why I have to show you on the keyboard. Moving two keys is one step. So if I'm going to go from G to A, that's one step. That's called one step. If I move one key, so I go from G to G sharp, That's called a half a step. Anytime I move just one key, I'm moving a half a step. I cannot illustrate half a step on this staff, which is why you have to have a keyboard understand what half a step is. What is that? On the thing we were showing, trying to show A3 and it would go flat to B, or would go to sharp to B flat. What is that? That's this. That's this right here. It's me trying to hit that note, but going sharp to this key. Well, that's illustrated on our staff by a sharp symbol or a flat symbol. So if the note goes up one half step, it's going to be called sharp. You're sharp. He's up, too high. What the normal thing people do is they go flat. They go down one. They'll go technically to an A flat in that point. So we would show that as a flat symbol, and I believe we have those on.
Little B.
And they put it on.
Yeah, it's on the front side of the very bottom.
Is it on the front side?
Yep.
Okay, good.
Right,
So
that's sharp.
yes, flat. So if I go to an A flat, it would be an A with a flat symbol in front of it, and that's this note. Now, A flat is the same note as G sharp. It's the same note. So the question to leave us with today is, why would I call something A flat as opposed to G sharp?
It's the way you're singing it.
Depends on the key I'm in.
Well, and the way you're singing it. If you're going to sing up, you think of sharp.
That's
If
right.
you're singing down, you think it's flat.
That's not bad. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, I'm going to go sharp or I'm going to go flat. But Jim's point is really the thing. If you notice that every key has to represent every letter, right? So in the key of C, everything is white keys. So I don't press any sharps. They're all white keys. But that's the only major key that doesn't use a black key. Every other key has at least one black key. So for me to use a sharp or a flat, I have to know what key. So if it's F, F is going to press A, B flat. We'll talk next week about why that is. So I'm going to go, if I went A sharp, I would go F, G, A sharp, C. So you got to skip B. So for B to be represented, it has to be the B flat. F, G, A, B flat, C. So that's why, we don't really want to worry too much about the key, but to know what these things mean, what they're telling us. And so I'd like your help with something here. This song, we're going to sing this song in worship today, and I hope we know this. John asked us to lead this, so I thought maybe in this class we could just take a quick stab at this song, because it kind of represents everything we've been talking about so far. It's in 3/8 time. It's got 8 notes, 16th notes. Remember what these are? Dotted quarter notes. It's got sharps. It's in the key of F, so it has B flats. See the B flat? Every good boy. So B flat. What else does it have? It has a hold. It's got a natural sign. So instead of B flat, sing B. Ooh, this is we could talk for an hour about why that is. Remember last week we were saying we don't see songs change key except for that modulation? This one changes key. Technically changes key. It's in the key of F, but it has this moment where it goes to G. It goes to the key of C for a moment. It's really strange. And the reason you're going to hear it, this song's in F. Technically, G should be minor, but what it does is it does this. Hear that? It changed key. So as a result of that, you've got this natural sign telling you to play a B. It's got about everything in it, except triplets. Anybody found a song with triplets yet? Haven't found one. It's got rest, it's got soft. So can we take a shot of this? You guys want to help me with this? And this is how the song goes. So hopefully it'll catch on pretty quick. Give me thy heart, says the Father above. No gift so precious to him as our love. Softly he whispers wherever thou art. Gratefully trust me and give me thy heart. Give me thy heart, whisper wherever thou art. From this dark world he would draw thee apart, speaking so tenderly. Give me thy heart. Great job. Wow. Did y'all know that song?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had never heard that song before. I'm so glad y'all know it.
It's an oldie.
It is an old. I YouTubed it. I'm like, it's a beautiful song. I don't think I've ever heard this song. If I had, it's been a long time. Thank you all
People
so
followed
much.
the piano.
What's that?
Everybody followed when we were supposed to get a little bit quieter on the last
They-
slide.
They did, yeah.
That one.
And so I'll leave you with one last tidbit to take you into the week. So does anyone know why we call this piano? Why it means soft?
It's Italian.
It's Italian. So we talked originally about the fact that this structure, this language came out of a mechanical instrument, the harpsichord primarily. The harpsichord, go and Google that, it's a very interesting instrument, can only play one dynamic range. You can't play a harpsichord soft or loud. You can bang on it, but you can't soften it. You can't make a soft harpsichord sound. So 50 years later, somebody said, well, instead of plucking the string, why don't we hammer the string? And that became the piano. And technically the name for a piano is, I don't care.
Pianoforte.
Pianoforte. Ooh, what does forte mean?
Strong.
Loud, yes, strong. So we have an instrument that can go soft and strong, soft and loud. It was called the pianoforte. That's what it's called because I can do the same thing harpsichord does, only I can play it soft or I can play it loud. And so that sound, oh great, piano, I'm going to play soft. I'm going to play loud. That's where those terms came from.
There's
Yes, sir.
also a forte piano.
A forte piano, a loud piano. That's interesting.
Forte piano is what it's called.
Yeah.
It sounds different.
Yeah. Well, thank you all for helping. So you can see a lot of the, we'll see in this song almost everything we've talked about so far. You've had, retardando, you've had the whole dotted notes, 8, the tempo. So as you sing this song today, be thinking about, besides what we're singing, that everything we're talking about is in this song so far. Yeah. Thank you all so much. Appreciate you folks. Thanks. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you in worship.